exploring LGBTQ traumas pertaining to youth and homophobic discourse.
Hello everyone, my name is Tyler Costa, and my capstone talk this year and my TED talk today is about positive trauma, exploring LGBTQ youth trauma and homophobic discourse. Now, I chose this topic and became interested in this topic 2 years ago when I was taking my Human Communication 312 course, Cooperative Argumentation. In that class, I had to do a paper on an advocacy paper, exploring I had to do my advocacy paper on a topic advocating for a certain social issue and taking a stance. Dr. Sean Great suggested that I do my advocacy paper on conversion therapy, which is one form of trauma that LGBTQ youth face. From there, I expanded my research into the project that I have today. Additionally, I wanted to inform people about traumas that aren't normally analyzed in day-to-day life, including those that plague LGBTQ youth and homophobia. Additionally, I do have a personal connection to this topic. I am gay, and though my coming out was predominantly an extremely positive experience, I know that for so many LGBTQ youth, it's an extremely negative experience, and they face a lot of hardships in that progress. So it can be assumed that LGBTQ youth face lots of forms of trauma, both at home and at school. Abuse at home and at school, both physical and emotional, can lead to depressive behaviors in LGBTQ youth that include drug use, alcohol use, suicidality, and even sexual promiscuity. While this alone is an issue, even more problematic is the discrepancy between conforming and non-conforming youth. One example of depression and suicidality is that the National Institute of Mental Health, in a 2015 study, found that LGBTQ youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their straight peers, and confirmed that 10.7% of straight students were depressed versus a harrowing 60% of LGBTQ students. These examples, along with many others I found in my research, prove that this is a topic that needs to be further analyzed. So one specific source of trauma that must be mentioned is conversion therapy, which is defined by the APA as any attempt to change or otherwise alter an individual's sexual orientation from homosexual to heterosexual through therapeutic treatment. Now, it should be noted that the APA discredits the practice as pseudoscientific. Conversion therapy is a misnomer, and that is not therapy. It's simply another high-risk form of trauma usually performed by non-licensed individuals. So Sam Britton is just one example of an individual who went through conversion therapy. As a child, he came out to a very unwelcoming environment. He was aggressively and verbally coerced by his conversion therapist by being told that he would never be loved as a gay man and was going to hell. But when that failed to change him, he was burned, shot, and otherwise physically tortured by his abuser while images of homosexual acts were displayed before him in an attempt to turn him straight. This is an example of classical conditioning, which is a learning process that occurs when 2 stimuli are repeatedly paired to evoke a response in the recipient. The most famous example of which is Pavlov's experiments with dogs in the early 20th century. Fortunately, Sam did not break, is still gay, and lives in the Bay Area, though he still experienced PTSD from this traumatic event. However, Sam's PTSD is not isolated. The APA states that the effects of conversion therapy commonly lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as self-disapproval, depression, guilt, helplessness, self-hatred, and suicidality. Considering conversion therapy has been recently talked about in the media and in the political realms, it is critical that the public is informed on how damaging this practice really is. So all of the trauma sources discussed so far are the direct effects of homophobia. The problem, however, is that trauma discourse rarely recognizes the causes behind homophobia, which actually usually stem from trauma itself. The cause of homophobia can stem from intergenerational, cultural, societal, and even spiritual traumas. Though I don't have time to discuss all of the above issues, I would really like to focus on how intergenerational trauma perpetuates cultural homophobia. The Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that in many cases, youth and teens who have homophobic parents adopt the same homophobic mindset as a reactionary defense mechanism, and this is especially true in youth who are found to potentially have same-sex attractions, who also adopt it as a self-defense mechanism. One negative effect of learned homophobic behavior is bullying in schools. Per a study done by the Middle School Journal, bullying based on sexual or gender preference occurs when bullies utilize these learned behaviors from home to actively harass the easiest target and promote heterosexism, or the belief that heterosexuality is superior to other forms of sexuality. Additionally, because students in middle and high school are particularly impressionable, they effectively want to enhance their popularity and social standing by becoming a part of the status quo. Therefore, bullies who normalize homophobia and harm those who break the status quo reshape and reinforce the mindsets of other students to match their own, thus spreading cultural homophobia. So the conclusions that I've found through my research are both eye-opening and startling. The severity of LGBTQ youth traumas cannot be downplayed or ignored, as the situation will only continue to get worse without intervention. Additionally, trauma researchers and the public must remember that this problem is a cause-and-effect issue. If you only analyze the effect, you're going to come to incomplete conclusions. While I alone cannot create a solution to this troubling problem, I strongly implore trauma theorists to begin delving deeper into the realm of homophobia studies, to unveil underlying causes, formulate potential solutions, and gradually bring an end to homophobic discourse. Thank you.